The moment I heard the water running, I froze. Right there in my own entryway. Just picture it. Keys dangling from my hand, one boot barely off, and my brain short-circuiting. I hadn't told a single soul I was coming home early. Nobody knew. My trip was supposed to run another 4 days, but the universe handed me a canceled event and a half-price standby ticket. So I jumped on a plane, daydreaming about one thing. A quiet night at my mountain cabin, maybe with a fire going, maybe just me, a blanket, and the sweet sound of nobody needing anything from me. Yeah, well, that plan didn't even make it past the front door. The second I realized somebody was in my shower, everything just went sideways. I set my duffel bag down so soft I could barely hear it, but my heart was pounding loud enough for the neighbors. There was nobody supposed to be here, not a chance, not even the mailman. I grabbed the only weapon I could find, the fireplace poker, cold and solid and way heavier than you'd think when you're running on adrenaline, and started creeping down the hall, every step slow as molasses, breathing shallow, trying not to betray myself with the sound of my own panic. Just as I nudged open the bathroom door, the water cut off, and for a heartbeat, I forgot how to exist. Because right there, wrapped up in one of my towels, was a teenage boy, 16, maybe, tops, humming off-key and brushing his teeth like he'd just gotten out of soccer practice in his own house. He screamed the second our eyes met, toothbrush flying, feet slipping on the hallway rug as he bolted out the back door, and all I could do was stand there, jaw hanging, like, what just happened? It didn't get better, not even close, because right then, I heard voices, more voices. From the kitchen, I ran in, and there's a woman I've never seen before sipping coffee out of my mug, a toddler on the couch with cartoons blaring, an old man dead asleep and snoring in my recliner. And, by the fridge, oh, you already guessed it, Karen. Yeah, HOA Karen. The board member from 2 doors down, nemesis of the mailbox, self-appointed queen of the rules. She looked at me, all casual, like I'd crashed her dinner party. Oh, you're back, she says, not a flicker of surprise. We didn't expect you for a few more days. I stood there with the poker still in my hand, blinking like an idiot. You broke into my house. I finally managed. Karen let out this laugh, patronizing, sharp, like she was explaining Wi-Fi to her grandma. No, sweetie. We used your spare key under the frog statue. Everybody in the HOA knows you keep it there. My blood went cold, like actual cold. That's not an invitation, Karen. That's just a bad hiding spot. And I was 2 seconds from launching the frog into the woods. But she rolled her eyes like I was the crazy one. Relax, Daniel. We're just house-sitting. You never officially told anyone not to come in. I mean, the rage. If you've ever been so mad your vision literally goes fuzzy, you know. But before I could even form a sentence, she was whipping out her phone, mumbling to her husband. And suddenly I realized she was calling someone. I grabbed my own phone. Yeah, to call the sheriff, obviously, but she beat me to it. And then, with her best victim voice, she told the cops I was the intruder. You're not supposed to be here. I'm calling the police. Next thing I know, red and blue lights are cutting through the pines. 2 sheriff's deputies pull up on my gravel drive, flashlights swinging, radios crackling. And here comes Karen, waving them down like the grand marshal at a parade. He's trespassing, she says, trembling finger pointed at me. We're house-sitting for the owner. He broke in through the back and threatened us. You ever have that out-of-body experience, like you're watching your life as a rerun you never asked for? That was me, standing there, trying to keep my cool while Karen's husband sips a beer on my porch swing. The old man groans awake in my recliner, and the teenager peeks out from behind the curtains. Like he's in a horror movie. I force myself to sound calm, voice steady, but I'm dying inside. I'm the owner. Daniel Reeves. This is my cabin. I've got ID, mortgage, utility bills, everything. These people broke in while I was gone. The younger deputy inches closer, polite but cautious. Sir, we got a call about a possible burglary. We just need you to stay calm. I am calm, I say, probably through my teeth. But that woman is lying. I didn't give anybody permission to be here. Karen does her best soap opera gasp. He's unstable. He barged in on my son in the shower. My father's got a heart condition. He threatened us. Before I can say a word, the older deputy moves behind me. Sir, for our safety and yours, we're going to place you in temporary detainment until We verify ownership. You know that feeling when your knees nearly give out, but you're too mad to fall. That was me, staring as they cuffed me in my own driveway, while total strangers lounged. Around my home, Karen walked by, so close she could whisper, "Maybe next time you'll remember to notify the HOA before disappearing." They stuck me in the back of the cruiser. Through the window, I watched that teenager stroll right back into my house, cool as you please, like it was his Airbnb. A few minutes later, the younger cop comes back out, holding my stack of paperwork, mortgage, tax stuff, all of it. He leans in. "Looks like this is your property, Mr. Reeves. We'll need to ask them to leave." I expected panic, maybe even a little shame. Nope. Karen just looks them dead in the eye and says, "He violates HOA codes. We have authority here." And I swear, the cops hesitated. Like, maybe she actually had a point. "You heard her." I snapped. "HOA rules don't override property law." They broke in. The officer finally pops the door, uncuffs me. "You're not under arrest, Mr. Reeves, but we're going to have to sort this out before anything escalates." Escalate? I just about lost it. There are 6 strangers in my house, and I'm the one who got cuffed. Karen, calm as ice, reaches into her tote bag. She actually brings out a manila folder. Twin Pines Lakeside HOA letterhead and everything. She flips to some highlighted page. "This cabin," she says all smug, "is part of Twin Pines Lakeside, Section 14C, Temporary Absentee Clause. If a homeowner's away more than 72 hours without notifying the board, the HOA has the right to maintain the property for safety and community standards." I stared, just speechless, realizing this was way more than a misunderstanding. This was full-on Karen Olympics. The deputies blink. Karen smiles that politicians smile. "We were just exercising our community responsibility," she says, syrupy sweet. I try to stay calm. "That clause is about mowing the lawn, Karen. It doesn't mean you can move your whole family in." Her husband strolls out from the kitchen with a sandwich. "My sandwich. Great place you got here." He mumbles through a mouthful. "Real cozy." Finally, the older deputy levels his gaze at Karen. "Ma'am, do you have written permission to enter this property?" She stutters, just for a second, but then she squares up. "The key was accessible. This is normal HOA practice. Daniel left the place unsecured. If anything, we protected it from wildlife and vagrants." I just laughed, bitter and tired. "Wildlife? Lady, I've got motion lights, a fence, and cameras. The only vagrants here are you." So I start hauling out every document I can. Find, deed, mortgage, all my bills, my name, my signature, my life, basically. And then, sitting on the counter, there's an envelope. On it, my name, scrawled in crayon. I open it, and inside is a child's thank you note. "Thank you for letting us stay in your cabin, Mr. Reeves. Mommy says you're always gone, so she said we could use it. I love your shower, Mason." My face went scarlet. I handed the note to the deputy. He read it. Eyebrows about hit his hairline. Karen tried to snatch it back. "That note is private." But the deputy held it tight. "It's also evidence," I said. "Probably a little too gleeful. Written by your kid, admitting trespass in crayon." That was the turning point. The deputy's face hardened. "Ma'am, I think it's time we call this in. You and your family need to leave. Now." Karen's mask slipped. "Not without a fight," she hissed, but nobody cared anymore. The older deputy laid it down. "You have 15 minutes to pack up. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." Still, she fought it. "This is harassment. I'm on the HOA board. We're legally entitled." He left it wide open, but I'd had it. "Karen, I live here. You turned my home into your family's personal resort." Her husband just shrugged. "Maybe if you used the place more, people wouldn't assume it was vacant." That's when I snapped. "You didn't assume. You snooped. You broke in. You helped yourself, and your kid left a thank you note for trespassing." The younger cop stepped between us. "Mr. Reeves, please, let us handle it." So I let them. Karen stomped through the house, barking orders. "Mason, out of the tub. Dad, grab your slippers." She gathered her family like it was a fire drill. Half-cooked lasagna. Cooler, muttering father. Defeated parade out the door. At the curb, she turned to the whole street. Loud enough for the world. "This community used to be friendly. Now look what it's become." I stood on my porch, finally breathing, while the deputies watched them pile into their minivan and drive off. Peace at last. Or so I thought. But as I turned to go inside, the younger deputy pulled me aside. Mr. Reeves, we're not finished. My heart sank. What do you mean? She's filed a complaint against you, he said quietly. Claims you violated HOA procedures, created an unsafe environment, and, get this, displayed threatening behavior toward a board member and minors. I just stared, numb. You've got to be kidding me. He shook his head. She's also hinting the HOA might fine you for misuse of community standards, whatever that means. And that was the real Karen twist. She might be out of my house, but she wasn't done. She was about to weaponize the HOA. 1 week later, I walked into the Twin Pines Community Center, binder under one arm, flash drive in my pocket. Karen was front row, clipboard locked and loaded, flanked by 2 other board members who looked like the Grumpy Cat twins. Her husband? Back row, sunglasses inside, as if we were filming Law and Order, HOA unit. The place was packed. Word had gotten out. Turns out, I wasn't the only one she tried this on, just the first to fight back with proof. Karen tried to run the meeting like nothing happened. Let's begin with community maintenance updates, and we'll also discuss an incident involving Mr. Reeves who violated section. I cut her off, folder in hand. With all due respect, we'll be discussing all incidents, especially illegal entry, unauthorized occupancy, and abuse of HOA authority. The room buzzed. Karen's smile shrank. I laid it all out. Photo evidence, sheriff statements, a notarized letter from my lawyer, formal complaint against the board. Karen tried to shout me down. You weren't following protocol, but I shot back. I followed the law. You broke into my home. You called the cops on me. When they found out the truth, you filed false claims. The room went silent. And then, from the crowd, a neighbor stood up. She did the same to us last winter, said our garage door was unlocked, and let herself in to check for leaks. Another added, she fined me $200 for leaving my trash can out, while her car blocked the fire lane all weekend. You could feel the tide turning, board members glancing at each other, the crowd murmuring. And then, the motion, the vote. By the end of the night, it was unanimous. Karen was removed from the board. Outside, she brushed past me, silent. I couldn't resist. Next time you want a vacation, Karen, try Expedia, not breaking and entering. She didn't reply, just kept walking, shoulders up, head down. And me? I finally went home to my cabin. My home. Empty, quiet, mine again. So let me ask. You, what would you have done if you'd come home and found someone in your shower? Comment below, because I need to know. And don't forget to subscribe. This HOA drama's just heating up. And next week's story? Even crazier.